Time for an upgrade. Hello, this is Mariappanni Rajan 2.0.
Hello, in this video, let's see how we built this visual effects using image generation and video generation models. We made use of a platform called ElevenLabs where we got access to all these different image generation and video generation models. This platform is much similar to something like Higgsfield or OpenArt, all right? Over here, they provide this flows interface, okay? When you click on it, you get to create a new flow, which is essentially this node-based interface where you can create your respective image generations and video generations. You can even import your own images and videos here. And it gives you a nice visual interface of the flow that is happening while you create your AI generated content. Okay, so I personally liked it because coming from a visual effects background, I am very used to working with node-based interfaces in applications such as like Nuke or Houdini, right? So for this video, right, we have these two visual effects that we have created. You see, the first visual effects is the transformation from the human character to the robot character. So here you see it, right? So from this frame, so it's like 3-second long visual effect. So we transform from a human to a robot and the transformation gets completed over here. Okay, so that's the first visual effect that we generated. And the second effect is after the transformation, there is a bit of a animation that the robot does, right? So that's the second visual effect that we generated. Using ElevenLabs Flow interface, you can see both the effects right over here. So you can see how they were built. Let me walk you through how I exactly built these two visual effects step by step. Okay, so the first step is obviously we need to shoot a raw footage, right? So this is my raw footage of me just acting it out. So I had this idea of a human character getting transformed into a robot character and delivering a line. So in this, you can see that before I transform into a robot, I deliver a line, which is over here.
Time for an upgrade.
Okay, so that's the line that I deliver before I transform into a robot, right? It's like as if I'm upgrading into a robot. So that's the idea. And so, I hold here and then, I hold for some time and I imagine myself transforming into a robot. Okay, so at this point, I have transformed into a robot. Okay, and then from this point on, it is the robot's animation. So here, the robot is supposed to be putting its hands down and
this is Mariappanni Rajan 2.0.
So that's the line it needs to deliver after becoming a robot, right? So that's the idea. So the way you can do this is let's go through the first effect. Okay, let's see how we generated this first effect of me transforming from a human to a robot. Okay, so it's pretty straightforward, especially when you use the right AI generation models. Okay, so what we do is we go to the last frame of this clip. So basically, I even cut it out. So this is the frame where I stop being a human and I start transforming into a robot, right? So I put a cut here. So if you press B, so I'm using DaVinci Resolve as my editing application. So I'm just put a cut here and then I move a bit forward to the point where I start moving, right? So from this point on, it's the robot's animation. It's supposed to be the robot's animation. So I put a cut over here as well, okay? So all this in between frame, where I'm just holding, that is where the transformation needs to happen, right? So that visual effect needs to happen. So I just select that in between clip and press the backspace key on my keyboard, which removes it. Okay. So now we have two clips. We have the first clip,
That's all delayed.
The line as a human hold, and then I start from the point where I have transformed, so basically this is the last frame where I am fully human. And then this is the first frame where I am fully robot. Okay, so that's very important to keep in mind. That means this is supposed to be the first frame of the video generation that we need to do. And over here, we have the last frame of that video generation that we have to do, right? So all we need to do is go here to this frame and take a screenshot. So essentially you can go to the color tab of DaVinci Resolve and say color stills and grab still. Okay, so I've already done that, and you can just like right click and export. Okay, so that will help you to export it as like a JPEG image, and then you do the same for this last frame of what you want to generate, right? So this is supposed to be that last frame. So we go here again to the color tab and click on color, stills, and grab still. So you would have those two images in place, right? So here we see that first image that we had taken a screenshot of, which was this guy, right? Like this is the first image. And the last image of this video generation should be me completely being a robot, right? So if I give these two as input to like, a AI video generation model, here we are making use of Kling 3.0 Pro. It would take care of doing the transition. We just need to give it a prompt and it will take care of doing the transition for us. But the thing is, I don't yet have this robot, right? So I need to be a robot in the last frame in order for Kling to do the transformation, right? Because like what we have at hand is we have this image, right, that we took a screenshot of. And we also have the ending image, right, which is kind of similar, but like you see that it is the image frame where we are supposed to be a complete robot, right? So we only have those two images in place. So this guy, which we took from DaVinci Resolve, and this other image, right? So the first step is we need to convert this last frame into being a complete robot. Right, so that's the first image generation that I did. Okay, so I just took this image, which is the last frame of our visual effect that we are going to create for this transition, and I made use of Google's Nano Banana Pro image generator to create this robot. Okay, and here's the prompt that I give. I just said everything in this image should stay the same. Only the human character in this image should be changed to be a superhero robot made of metal. The superhero robot should look exactly as the original character. It's just that it should be made of metal and it should look more muscular and cool, right? I added a bit of muscles for me here. So that's basically the prompt, okay? And I didn't even put this into some sort of a prompt generating AI or whatever. I just like gave it directly. It's a simple prompt and I got this robot, okay? Now, if you want to iterate on multiple different robot styles, you can definitely do it. You can just like, the way you do that is just, so this is the original image, right? So you click here and drag and it will, give you some options. So here you can just say, I want to edit this image, for example, right? So, and there you can select any image generation model that ElevenLabs offers. So, GPT Image 2 or, on any of these models. I prefer using Nano Banana these days, Nano Banana Pro, but I hear that GPT Image 2 is also very good. So you can just experiment with whichever model that you want, right? And it is going to cost you a bit of credits. Just be aware of that. And you can do your generation, and you can just delete that image by pressing backspace. Okay, so the first step is just getting your robot image generated. Okay, so that's what we have done here. Okay, then this robot image, we can use it over here as our end frame. Okay, so the way you use it is you can just download this image. Okay, so you can just click here over here and click on download, and it will download to your machine. And then it's just a regular image. You can do pretty much whatever you want with it, right? So here we have used that as our end frame, and we give these two images as input to the video generation model. So here again, it's quite simple. So you just need to click and drag, and here we want to do a video generation, right? So we get the video generation node, and there you can use like any of the video generation models that you find useful. We have Gemini, Omni, and Aleph and Cdance, and like all the popular video generation models are here. For our purpose, we made use of the Kling 3.0 Pro. for the video generation model, you can just give the first frame, whichever you want to be the start frame, and then you can also give the last frame, whichever you want to be the end frame, right? And then you give a prompt for it to do the transition. So that's essentially what we have done here. So here we have given the prompt that the human character needs to transform into the robot character in an epic transformer superhero robot style. The transformation, every part of the body should be very evident. Okay, so that's basically the prompt that we gave, and it generated the transformation for us. Okay, so once the video is generated, you can just download it and use it in your editing applications. To fill in this in between, right, we have now a video, right, which is over here. So if you see, so like as I shared earlier, let me mute this. So here you can see that we hold, like I'm just adding a bit of like zoom effect just to make it interesting in the beginning. But the main thing here is like this frame. Okay, so this is that frame that we gave as the first frame of the visual effect that we wanted to build, right? And this was the last frame. So that's basically what you see here. And based on the first and last frame, the video generation got completed, and we just added in between. So here, like when I add it in between, so I get that nice transformation from this first frame to the last frame that we gave, right? And because the last frame of this video generation is going to be the first frame of the next video, it's going to be like the smooth like effect for us. It's going to be as if it's a single shot, right? So now let's move on and check out the second effect that we generated. Okay, now we have the image, right? So we have the image, but then like we want this robot to do some, animation. We wanted to do some interesting action for us, right? We don't just want it to be a static image. So to do that, what we do is I have rendered out my performance, okay, of the second part of the video, which is basically this portion, right? So here I am basically acting as a robot here, right? So I just render this portion alone out and bring it into ElevenLabs as a video node, okay? And then I give the image of the modified me, right? So here we have that robot character. Now, this is where things get really interesting. So I'm basically capturing the motion of the human character and mapping it onto this image. So it's basically motion capture, right? Like, this is amazing, right? Like, just imagine just a few years back, in order to do something like that, you would need like really expensive motion capture devices and, tech to do it. But now I can just do it with a simple node graph, right? And so basically the video performance is mapping onto this static image. So that's what's happening here. And to do that, we are making use of a video generation model called Kling 3.0 Pro Motion Control. Okay, so for generating this, like, transition also we made use of Kling. It was Kling 3.0 Pro. Whereas here, in order to do this motion capture of like my performance into this image, we're using Kling 3.0 Pro Motion Control. Okay, and so we just feed the inputs, the image and the video, and make sure that, you have set this option to be match image so that the performance is mapped onto the image. And we have the generation done, and you can see the performance captured here. Like whatever I did, see, whatever I have done here, like it is captured and mapped perfectly onto this robot. And this was done in like one shot. Okay, so you can keep refining it if you want. And this is pretty cool. So after it got generated, you just download it back and bring it into your editorial application. So now we have the second part of the video also ready. So I just put it over here. So and you can see that we have our nice robot animation happening. So this is pretty cool. So that's essentially how I put together this visual effects video using AI, video generation and image generation models. Hope this video was useful, and thanks for watching.